Former longtime UC men's basketball coach Bob Huggins in hot water tonight, accused of making homophobic comments during a live radio interview today. And thanks for joining us at 11 o'clock. I'm Cherie Palello.
And I'm Mike Dardis. Huggins was talking about the rivalry between his former program, UC, and Xavier University on Bill Cunningham's afternoon talk show on 700 WLW. He references an incident at the Crosstown shootout many years ago and then makes a disparaging comment a few times about Catholics and then uses that homophobic slur. So just hours later, Huggins releasing an apology on social media, saying in part, quote, "I used a completely insensitive and abhorrent phrase that there is simply no excuse for, and I won't try to make one here. I deeply apologize to the individuals I have offended. As I have shared with my players over my 40 years of coaching, there are consequences for our words and actions, and I will fully accept any coming my way. I am ashamed and embarrassed and heartbroken for those I have hurt. I must do better, and I will."
Now, there could be a lot of fallout from Huggins' comments, which only adds to his complex legacy in Cincinnati sports.
The remarks during that live radio broadcast today catching some of his friends and former players by surprise. WLWT News 5's Jatera McGee has reaction from one of his former players on that Final Four team. This is an interview you'll see only here on WLWT. Jatera.
And Mike and Cherie, he is standing by his former coach's side. Bob Huggins was talking about the rivalry between his former program at UC and Xavier when he made a few comments he likely wishes he could take back. Huggins issued that apology within hours of using a homophobic slur multiple times during that live radio broadcast. Now, host Bill Cunningham laughed and referred to Huggins as the best ever after that. Huggins coached at UC for 16 years, from 1989 to 2005. He led the men's basketball team to its last trip to the Final Four before mutually parting ways with the university about a decade later. Tonight, I talked with Terry Nelson, who played under Huggins at UC from 91 to 93, including the Final Four in Elite 8 years. He's now a radio analyst for UC men's basketball. Here's how he heard the news about his former coach.
Somebody texted and said, "Is Hugs done?" And it got into our chat thread, and I was like, this can't be real. I said, I know he doesn't have a filter at times. He's just real. And I just think that this was not possible that he would say something like this.
Nelson said he knows in his heart Huggins is sorry for offending anyone, but he hasn't reached out to him about the situation. He said he catches up with Huggins along with other players whenever Huggins is in Cincinnati. Nelson says he's worried this will be the end of Huggins' career, and he thinks he deserves another chance to retire from WVU.
If he goes out like this, it would be disheartening for a lot of people because we just know, I know personally what he has meant to me, not having a father. He's been a father figure. He wanted to walk off on his own terms, and I'm still hoping that he can walk off on his own terms. There's going to have to be some type of penalty that's going to be paid. I just hope it's not being paid with his job.
Nelson said Huggins saw today how your world can flip upside down with just one statement. Some people are calling for Huggins to resign. Nelson hopes that it just doesn't come to that. Jatera McGee, WLWT News 5.
All right, Jatera, so in West Virginia, Huggins was expected to attend today's coach's caravan.
Yeah, but when WVU Athletic Director Ren Baker arrived, he told reporters Huggins would not be attending the event due to a, quote, conflict. Take a listen.
We put out the statement earlier tonight. You guys saw Coach's statement. We really don't have anything else at this time. I was on my way here, so hadn't had a chance to even really get all the facts and information. But as soon as we do, then we'll have a follow-up
Have you talked to Coach Huggins yet? Or?
I talked to him briefly. Yes, sir.
We were told that he was supposed to be here and now told that he was not scheduled to attend. Is that because of the statements that he made?
He had a conflict and won't be able to attend tonight.
West Virginia University releasing a statement tonight in response to the comments stating, quote, Coach Huggins' remarks today on a Cincinnati radio show were insensitive, offensive, and do not represent our university values. Coach Huggins has since apologized. West Virginia University does not condone the use of such language and takes such actions very seriously. The situation is under review and will be addressed by the university and its athletic department.